Hello dear friend, welcome to another session of the Woodpecker tactics training. We will solve together puzzles to improve your calculation and visualization skills. So let's look what to do, white to move here. I recognize this pressure on the king and on the h7 square, actually h7 pawn, so actually we can remove the queen and the knight is defending. Actually, if you capture the queen on f6, we're removing one defender, and if the queen recaptures, the rook takes h7 as a checkmate. Wow, this is the solution. Let's go for the next one again. White to move. Yeah, please try to analyze it yourself and try to find a solution. So what I would see, the bishop on b3 is attacked and defended once, so that's one critical piece because it's kind of unprotected. And also the king's diagonal is open, the h3 c8 diagonal. Like queen e6 check would attack the bishop and the queen at the same time, but yeah, the bishop recaptures. But if you take the bishop with the rook, rook takes bishop, knight takes bishop, then this double attack will be available. Queen e6 check and then taking the knight. So we get the bishop and the knight for a rook and the pawn, because the a5 pawn will be hanging. But still probably the two pieces will be better than the rook. So taking actually this is winning, but it would still need effort, I think, for actually queen takes a5 is not possible because bishop takes c6. White will need to nicely build up the attack. Probably something like queen b4 and then knight e4, knight c5 to attack the b7 pawn, c6 pawn, a6 pawn, and the pressure slowly will be built up. Okay, let's go for the next one. Black to move. The king is in the corner, kind of trapped. The bishop would be not there, the knight f2 would be a checkmate. So actually maybe we can just remove it. Queen takes g5. If bishop takes g5, then knight f2 checkmate. If the bishop will not take, then actually that's not a good move. If protected by maybe by the knight, like knight c2, then queen takes e3. Knight takes e3 and the knight f2 checkmate still comes. Wow, that's it, I think. And it's checkmate. Yeah, probably should have played something like rook e1, rook ge1 to open up for the king. But black has an extra pawn and a nice position. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move. So even the material is equal. The h8 rook is unprotected and black's king is open. So maybe can take advantage of that. So the c6 pawn is pressured by the queen and the bishop. The rook covers the d5. What to do here? What to do? I would, the captures first. You can consider captures and checks. Bishop takes c6, pawn takes c6. Probably that's not good. Queen takes b6, not good. Queen takes g5, no good. Bishop h3 check then. Actually that looks good. Wow. Bishop h3 check, because if rook takes h3, that removes the defender of the back rank, because then the back rank will be queen f8 check, king c7, queen d8 checkmate. And if after bishop h3 the king moves to c7 or b8, then queen e5 check comes double attacking the king and rook on h8. Okay, this looks like a nice way to win. Capture and check. The checkmate, this is nice. You can slow down the process a little bit, but the check comes on e5. Oh, and actually this goes to checkmate. Okay, so bishop h3. That was an important move. Okay, let's go look at the next one. Nice, bishop h3. White to move again. Yeah, geometry is important. By the time your eyes will just spot the stuff, I think quickly can spot the possibilities. Like here, but I already looked, the bishop on g2 bishop and an a8 rook is on the same diagonal. Plus, there is also the d5 pawn and the d5 square, which has like a possibility to attack the king and the rook at the same time from d5. So I would consider knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes d5 check. If the king moves, then bishop takes the a8, that just wins the exchange. If you play something like bishop e6 to protect the rooks, then bishop takes e6 check, so wins back the piece and still won 2 pawns. If it moves, then we do this way. Then we take the bishop. Yeah, probably the best thing for him to do is actually something like bishop e6 to protect the d5 pawn, to minimize the loss. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move. Well, the move looks kind of straightforward. I think we need to we have those two strong pawns, but we need to queen at least one of them, otherwise black will sacrifice maybe the knight for the 2 pawns and neutralize our efforts or make it harder, because still we have like 4 pawns on the other side against 3. That would be still an advantage. So, because we cannot do much other moves, like king moves probably not have, so rook a8, it's like the move. Rook a8, then probably king to c7. Okay, if he tries to protect, or maybe knight d7. So probably this will be a pawn and given the end. If king c7, then we play a7 check. Sorry, a7. He cannot play rook takes b7 because then rook c8 check, sacrificing the rook and then get a new queen on a8. So rook a8, king c7, a7. The rook is hanging. If you do something like knight d7, the rook takes b8, knight takes b8, and then a8 queen. So probably after rook a8, the best is knight d7 immediately, and then if pawn a7, then king takes b7, and rook takes b8, knight takes b8, pawn takes, king takes b8, and then king f4 taking the f5 pawn. Yeah, okay, this is one aspect. Actually, probably this is a little better for black than the other, but yeah, still just. And white wins the endgame. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move. The black king is in the middle. That's one thing I recognized. 5 pawns against 5 pawns. Material is equal. The c4 knight is hanging. The a8 rook is attacked and defended once. f1 rook has a nice file. Interesting. First look the checks and the captures. Knight d6 check, bishop takes, queen takes. Yeah, that looks good, but it's probably not the best one. Queen f7 check, probably not good because captures. Queen takes a8, queen takes a8, that's also not good. So probably the capture. Queen h5 check, then g6. Yeah, looks good, but still I think fine for black. So then some knight b6 attacking moves. Knight b6. Plays maybe rook a7. Okay, so maybe we need to be somehow really serious. Knight e5, actually, knight e5 to create a checkmate threat on f7. Maybe that looks. That's it. Actually, that's a double attack. So knight e5, certainly knight takes d7, queen takes d7, rook, queen takes a8, plus it's threatening queen f7 checkmate. He cannot take because then queen f7. So that's it. So let's look at the solution. I think this should be, yeah. Takes. This wins. Yeah, of course you cannot take it because then it comes the checkmate on f7. Yeah, that if the queen moves to prevent the checkmate, then we still just take it. And it wins. Okay, let's go for the next one. So soon we will reach 200 puzzles actually, which solved in the last couple of days, last couple of sessions. So white to move. Ooh, this is nice, this is nice. Actually, you know what, I recognize the d6 bishop is unprotected. Hopefully soon your eyes will also catch these things if you solve these puzzles with me. d6 bishop is unprotected and there is the d1 rook is on the same file. Also the king is open, like the diagonal, like bishop b5, so that would be like opening up for the rook, but the d5 pawn is still in the way. But the other important aspect is the f5 bishop is really limited its possibilities. So what white can play is e4, attacking the bishop. If bishop takes, then bishop takes, d takes, rook takes d6, winning the bishop. If he takes with the pawn to e4, he needs to do something against this bishop. And then bishop b5 check comes to discord attack on the d6 bishop. Okay, so e4, yeah, that happened. This means if captures it pawn, then white wins in both cases with the bishop. Next one, white to move. So what do you recognize? The e8, rook is unprotected. The black king is kind of open. And the same file, like the queen and the king is in the same file. So something like rook takes h5 would be winning in some situations if it would be protected. There's the d1 queen which can protect the rook on h5. But the knight is in the way. But probably we just play knight f6, attacking the rook. If the bishop takes, then rook takes h5, wins the queen. If the queen takes, then we can queen takes h5 check, and then the e8 rook will be captured with a check. So white gives the knight and gets a pawn and the rook. Yeah, this. And if the bishop takes, as we discussed, then this comes this double attack on the queen. Actually, probably better for him to make him something like this. But that will not help him, because then this check wins the bishop also. Okay, next one, white to move. Okay, so there is like a checkmate on g7 or g8 because of the queen and the rook is lined together. There is this e6 pawn, actually, which can block the 7th rank. So he cannot protect pop. If the pawn moves to e7, then g7 is threat, queen g7 checkmate. If captures the queen to protect g7, then the rook will be unprotected on c8. So yeah, it's kind of like a double attack. This move, double threat, e7 is blocking and opening. It's discord attack on the c8 rook and blocking the 7th rank. If it takes with the bishop, then it's a checkmate on g7. Then we win the rook. Okay, let's look at the next one. Another nice puzzle. Actually, what I recognize immediately, the motive with the knight on the king, on the black king and queen, knight e6 check. That's, I think, the key motif here. So probably removing the defenders of the e6 square, that's the key. The rook takes f7 check. You need to take it other way, it's a checkmate. It goes to the 8th rank, then queen e8 checkmate. If king 8-6, then rook 8-7 checkmate. So you need to take it with the knight. Then queen takes d4, winning the queen. You need to take it, rook takes d4. So the e6 is not protected anymore. Knight e6 check comes, winning the rook and the end. So in the business, white won a pawn, so probably that will be good enough to win the endgame. I'm just checking if there is something more, but I don't think there is anything more, just winning this one. Okay, let's look at. Oh, I missed this one. Wow, this is even better. Yeah, this actually wins the queen, because then it's also the queen is hanging on d4. It's protected by the rook, attacked by the queen. So if you remove the defender of the queen, that's better than removing the defender of the e6 square. Yeah, this is the better one. At least a little bit better. Here the queen and the pawn is for the rook and the knight. That's like 2 or 3 points better than queen takes, and then winning the rook. because that way we are winning the full rook, but this way we win a queen for a knight, which is a better business. Queen for a knight is like 6 points, full rook is 5 points. Okay. Let's go for the next one, white to move. Wow, so this is a fork for the rook and the queen. Okay, actually probably need to go for the counter-attack. The black king is a little bit loosey without his g7 bishop. So probably the move is queen h6, because if the knight takes b2, the knight g5 comes and black cannot protect against the queen takes h7 and then queen f7 takes f7 checkmate. And if after queen h6 you don't take, then it's kind of, that's knight g5 is the threat, plus the b4 knight is also hanging. So actually that wins the piece for a while, because black should play something like f6 and then rook takes b4 wins the piece. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's no way you can try, but just solutions are temporarily to preventing the checkmate here. And the rate's winning the piece. Okay, let's go for the next one. Black to move. What can black do here? Yeah, there is a huge pressure on the e3 pawn, that's clear. Also actually the c1 bishop is pinned because the a1 rook is unprotected. Something like bishop takes e3 looks also good. Ah yeah, because if rook takes e3 actually then queen f2 check, king h1, queen takes f1 checkmate, because the rook actually kind of overloaded. Ah, Oli, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much. So bishop takes e3, we just talked about that. If the bishop takes, then the a1 rook is saying if the rook takes, then it's a checkmate. So that's it, I think. Yeah, if he goes to h1 after capture, then we take the c1 bishop. What? Ah, I can take with the bishop actually, and then queen takes a1, and then h takes g4. Oh, actually, yeah, that's not good, because then white gets the 2 pieces for the rook. So knight takes e3. Yeah, it wins a pawn, that's clear. If the bishop takes, then we take the a1 rook, that's also clear. If the rook takes, then probably actually black can play something like rook e8 to, because it's pinned, and then take on e3. That's it, yeah, this was important. Yeah, we need this way. So knight takes, wow. Knight takes. Yeah, the other light just looked really nice, but yeah, it was not really, it was pinned, the c1 bishop, but the h4 knight was also hanging. That's why knight takes e3. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move. So white has an extra pawn. That's the first insight here. And the c5 bishop is unprotected. So maybe bishop takes g6, queen takes g6, queen takes e5 check, wins the bishop back. 2 extra pawns. Yeah, that looks good actually. Okay, this was nice. Let's go for the next one. White to move. Wow, this is interesting because black has an extra rook. But the black king looks like in trouble. But we should quickly checkmate it or win something more, because otherwise we will be in trouble. But actually there is no immediate check threats on the white king, so white can afford to even make some slow moves here. Actually, well, that's what I'm thinking about. Rook c7 check, because king takes d8, then queen e7 checkmate. If bishop takes e7, then queen takes e7 checkmate. The only question what happens if he plays king b8. Then rook takes c6 check, attacking the queen. King to b7. Rook takes a6. Queen takes, rook takes a6. Then because of the check, the other rook is hanging, queen d5 check. Okay, wow. Just too much to handle. The rook takes, and this check comes, check. And the rook cannot take with the king because it's a nice checkmate. Wow, rook takes c6. Rook c7, this is beautiful actually. Bishop takes, it's a checkmate. If king takes, then it's another checkmate. Okay, let's go forward. Next one, white to move. The queen looks like in trouble. Probably rook takes, because it's the g5 pawn is pinned because of the g4 queen, and the rook is on the same, g7 rook is on the same file. So probably rook takes f4 check. If pawn takes rook, then queen, then rook takes queen. If queen takes rook, then pawn takes queen. So white will be up a pawn, up a bishop in the end. Just win the queen. They're winning this way, and if he moves, just take it. Okay, next one. White to move. White to move. F7 rook is pinned, and we have an F1 rook also. So probably the F6 knight is also pinned, so we can play something like bishop h5 to attack. If he plays g6, then rook takes f6. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, because we are queen takes us and we are checkmating. Because black has a strong pawn on b3, but he cannot really use it. He can't use it. No time for him. Yeah, just exchanging everything, and then bishop c2 stops the pawn, and then the king goes to win it. Okay, this looks good. Yeah, if it's protecting, if this is the best move, then just take it. Go for the pawn. And with the extra exchange and extra pawn, this should be winning. Captures, then it's a check, another check, and the checkmate. Okay, let's go for the next one. We will soon reach 200. This is 198th. Black to move. Oh la la. Black has active rooks, very active rooks. Our king is h2, so the g2 pawn is pinned. Also, actually, the f3 bishop is pinned because if it moves, then the f5 rook will be hanging. So white is in a double trouble, but the material is still equal. So somehow black need to take advantage of all of this stuff. Yeah, the first idea is like rook a2, rook g2 takes g2, bishop takes g2, and then rook takes f5. That wins a pawn, but probably one pawn is not enough here, because just very low number of pawns on the board, maybe a draw. So I need to find something more powerful if it's possible. I would think about bishop takes f3, rook takes f3, rook takes g2. Maybe the f takes g2, king h1. Okay, then maybe come with the rook, sorry, with the knight, maybe knight e4. So he cannot take with the e rook because then rook g1, king h2, rook g2, checkmate. And knight f4 is a serious threat. Knight f2 is a serious threat. He can maybe rook f1. So bishop takes, rook takes g2. Actually I found the other rook takes on g2, king h1, the rook h2 check, king g1, and then knight e2 check, because that's forcing him to take the knight with the rook, and the rook takes back, and black will be up in exchange. That's it, wonderful. Okay, 109, 90, 99. White to move. So to recognize a few things here, material is equal, but looks like the black king is in trouble. Like maybe the queen is looking for g7, the rook is there, and if maybe something like rook e7 looks very simple but maybe effective. Sitting a checkmate on g7, so you need to play rook g6 to cover it, and then the d7 bishop is hanging. Rook d takes on d7. But he can play actually after rook e7. Black can play rook d4. But still, rook takes d4, pawn takes d4, queen takes d4. And then the bishop is hanging on this end, and the checkmate is also threatening. So that should be good enough. Yeah, it's a double attack, he cannot defend both. Just means and this is also super powerful, those two rooks, and with the extra bishop. Okay, and here we come 200, number 200. Black to move. This is interesting. We looked this puzzle a few times. Actually, the d5 queen is unprotected because it's attacked and defended once. So black can play about removing of the defender d1 rook by rook e1 check. If rook takes e1, then queen takes d5. And if the king moves to f2, then queen takes queen, rook takes queen, and then the a1 rook will be unprotected in the corner. And this will be the rook. Okay, let's go for the next one. So this is 201. White to move. So what would you do here? So something to consider is this pressure on the king, and g4 knight is looking for the h6 and f6 squares. Rook and queen all together. But it looks like still everything is protected. What should I do? Yeah. Okay, just queen takes h7. Queen takes h7, so removing the defender of the f6 pawn. Queen takes, knight takes f6 check. That's a double attack, winning the queen back and with keeping the extra knight. Okay, that was nice. Let's go for the next one. Black to move. Yeah, looks like it's the e5 is now attacked and defended. But also actually the d3 rook is also attacked by an x-ray attack from the g6 queen and defended by the queen. So the e4 queen protects two things in the same time, which normally is a bad thing, that we call overload. Probably you can do like rook takes e5, queen takes e5, queen takes d3 to win. If rook takes e5, queen takes queen, then knight takes queen, and that protects the e5 rook. Yeah. I did not even think about the queen takes because this looks just so bad, but yeah. Then we take the rook and then we need to exchange this way. This, let me just take it and protecting the rook. So we have the extra bishop left. Actually, this is a checkmate. So it's actually the queen is protecting three things in the same time. So that's really bad. Yeah, I was originally thinking just this two in this way the material, but yeah, queen takes g2 is the most effective way. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move. It looks like there's a back rank problem for black because the e4 bishop is covering the h7 square. So it looks like something like queen d8, that's what I was thinking, but not sure. Queen d8, rook takes d8, rook takes d8, queen f8. And there comes the bishop h7 check to removing the defender. Yeah, that's it. Up an exchange. So this is a key idea which sets to. When it looks like black is fine, then there is one more attack. If he moves immediately back, then again this check comes, and that's actually even better. Okay, let's go for the next one. White to move again. White has an extra pawn. D7 bishop is attacked and defended once, so that's problem. Maybe we can remove the D6 queen, which protects it. There is some pressure on the E5 pawn and the queen, and the king is in the same diagonal. What can so rook takes D7, queen takes D7. Yeah, looks like not giving much. Yeah, that's it. Rook takes G7, queen takes G7, then bishop G4, forking, skewering. Then queen D8, bishop takes C8, queen takes C8, queen takes B5. If queen C1, check knight F1 just protects back everything. So yeah, it's winning a pawn actually. It's not more than winning a pawn. So now 2 pawns, 2 extra pawns, which should be enough to win the game. Okay, again, white to move out. The white king looks like in danger, but the black one also. Because the 2 bishops are really covering all the squares. So probably something like queen D8, queen B8 check looks strong enough. Queen B8 check, rook takes B8, rook takes B8, rook F8, bishop takes E5 check, queen G7, rook takes F8 checkmate. Oh, no, that's nice. What's going on here? The king can also, but then rook G8 checkmate. Yeah, so it's just a question which checkmate black wants. Can choose. This is the nice one. He tries to protect this way. Another one. So maybe we can move out like here, but okay, so we are solving puzzles together. Let's go for the next one. So black to move. Black to move. What do we recognize here is the white king looks like in a trouble. Yeah, black has also an extra pawn, but his bishop, rook, queen is looking to that direction, also the G3 pawn. So let's look what's going on here. Yeah, the first idea which comes in mind is playing like queen h2, but actually probably bishop d4 is the move here. More likely, no? Or no, what if we just take the rook, queen takes rook, king takes rook, because we want to eliminate the blockader of the g3 pawn, and then g3, g2 check, only king g1 is possible, and then bishop d4, so he's the queen. That's it. And the knight comes, and it's deciding the game. If king g2, then just maybe giving a check here. Here's the knight. Okay, so that was the move. So queen takes rook, and then g2 and bishop d4. Let's go for the next one. Black to move, black to move. What would you do here with black? So yeah, what we should look, the f1 rook is unprotected, which is attacked by our queen and rook. So if the f5 knight is not there, then we can just take it. So knight moves really need to be considered, like knight e3, because that also attacks the queen. So if white takes the queen on f7, then we can take his queen with a check actually to gain time to recapture the rook. Yeah, so knight e3 looks just good enough. Yeah, winning the exchange. If rook takes f7, that's even worse. I'm not sure if it's worse, but around the same bed. Exchange up again. Black is winning. Okay, let's go forward. So white to move, white to move. You know, the black king looks like really in a bad situation. Yeah, like also there is this knight forks, like knight g6 forking. Queen and the rook is also looking to that direction. So one idea is to try to remove maybe just simply the defender, like knight e6. If the rook takes, we can take back with the pawn and we won an exchange. If the pawn takes, the knight g6 check means the queen. If after knight e6 he moves the queen maybe to e8, then we take on g6 with the rook, and that's just winning. Probably that's it. Is there anything wiser? I don't see. That's just looks good enough. Mr. Queen, yeah. Rook takes, we just take it. Up the exchange. Yes, if he tries to counter punch like this way, then just exchanging queens and then knight f6. This will win the game. Yeah, up an exchange. Okay, let's look for the next one. Black to move. Okay, this looks pretty straightforward. The knight, the mighty knight. That looks very strong because of the fork. Yeah, knight f6 forking the d7 rook and the g4 king, and it's actually defended by the x-ray. If rook takes f6, then rook takes f6. But actually h5, yeah, h5 even looks better, because that means a full rook. Or not? Yeah, it looks like that means a full rook. So actually h5 is the move. h5 is the best one. Yeah, because actually if knight f6, rook takes, then that's up an exchange, but white has like 3 extra pawns. So that would be actually close to equal. So h5 is really necessary. Okay, let's go and look how it continues. White to move. So again, the king is in danger. Actually, both kings, but more likely the black king will be in danger. White is up a bishop. White is actually up a bishop. Black is threatening queen c2 checkmate. Okay, it's not that easy actually. The d1 rook is also hanging. First I was thinking like rook d3, but then rook f1. Actually, probably black wins. So need to be more careful here. Probably need to make some more prepared defense. How can protect the c2 square? Let's first do the checks. Probably there's one check. Actually, maybe that's it. I like the check. Yeah, knight f6 check. That's just looks the best, because g takes f6 and then rook takes e3. So we just eliminate that strong knight, and then looks like everything is strong and good. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's it. Capture and actually white wins. Okay, wonderful. I hope you enjoyed these puzzles. We solved another 30 puzzles. yeah, if you enjoy them and would like to get notification for new ones, then please subscribe also on Twitch. If you will watch this in YouTube, then you can subscribe there also for notifications. Thank you if you support the stream by following the channel or subscribing or donations or whatever way you would like. Also just saying nice things. Thank you very much and hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.